Hello and welcome along to Season 2 of My Time in the Geansaí here on the Left Wing Back podcast. We're delighted to be back with 8 more exciting guests for this series, and just like last season, we will have something different in each episode while hitting 8 new clubs. This season will feature players from O'Loughlin, Kilbride, St Fortunes, Carrowtown Hurling Club, Clonmore, Nevin, Tinryland and Ballin, with some great stories to be told along the way. First up is a man who needs no introduction, has to be said. It's widely noted that if he had been playing in Cork, he'd probably have All-Ireland medals in both codes. He's played all over Ireland, and the longevity of his career says it all after playing senior club championship in both codes well into his 40s. It is, of course, the one and only Johnny Nevin, and this episode is brought to you in association with Carlow Dental Centre, your award-winning dental clinic located in Greycullen, open 7 days a week, offering all types of dentistry for you and your family, the very best dental care at affordable prices. You can call the reception team on 059 91 73762 or visit the website at www.carlowdentalcentre.ie. Make the call and start loving your smile. Do hope you enjoy the programme. Here we go. Johnny, how's things? Good to have you on.
Sure, good, Kevin. We're just hopefully the sunshine is starting to give us a bit of uplift, and hopefully in the next few weeks, maybe the inter-county scene is on its way back, and maybe the club scene will be on its way back as well. And look, maybe the times are getting better down the road in front of us now.
Absolutely. Well, look, I mean, the last year has been chaotic, but we are getting closer to the return of inter-county action, obviously, but it gives us an opportune time, Johnny, to look back on things. And I mean, we've plenty to look back on with yourself anyway. A stellar career in both hurling and football. You played a bit of soccer as well. There wasn't a whole lot you weren't good at, in fairness to you. But I suppose if we can take things back to, day dot, growing up, GA was obviously a no-brainer for you, and it was always the route you were going to go down, I take it.
Yeah, well, look at Kevin. We were always involved at under 14 football and that, and we had a good team under 14 with Michael Davids, so we took it from there. We're always in around the semi-finals or finals of championships,
Yeah, and now a little dicky bird tells me, you can correct me if I'm wrong, did you have a little spell with Bagnallstown at some stage underage?
No, I never had a spell with Bagnallstown at any stage underage. No.
Vicious rumour.
What?
A vicious rumour to start us off.
Yeah, a vicious rumour, I think. No, I played all my underage with Michael Davids, and look, there was an under 14 hurling team there as well, and I would have played with that. I would have played with actually John Tyndall's was the football under 14 and under 16. Kevin. So that's where I would have played most of me underage football,
Yeah, and growing up along, I don't know, did you have too much underage success in terms of winning medals and stuff? It wasn't kind of, you got into the adult ranks that things started to prove a bit more fruitful.
No, look, Kevin, the only underage medal I have is an under 21 hurling medal that I won with Parnell's. We beat St Mullins in the county final. That's the only underage medal I won. We're beating under 21 football final, be a pint. We would have been beaten by Burn Rangers in semi-finals of minor as well, and they would have went on and won it. But that was it. I captained that Parnell's team to win the under 21 hurling championship.
Yeah, so despite not having that success, you obviously really, really enjoyed the game. Growing up along, you played a bit of soccer too, though. And did you win a Premier Division title at some stage down in Loughlin?
Yeah, we won a Premiership title, and not able to put the year on it to celebrate it there 25 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, I would have been part of that team when we won that, yeah.
Which brings me to something that I will show a clip of a little bit later on in the programme, Johnny. But talk to us then about, going to play with O'Loughlin, because obviously coming from Loughlin Bridge, many people felt that we would have had Johnny Nevin with Loughlin. Why O'Loughlin and why not Loughlin Bridge? Or how did that come about?
I suppose really when I left school in Loughlin Bridge, I wasn't really ever, when I left school in Loughlin Bridge, I probably was living in Close Sutton, and the lads that were around there, say Tom Norris, Hughie Fitzgerald, Brian Ellard, I would have been playing football with those boys in the evening time, and they kind of all went their own way and went to O'Loughlin, and played whatever football they were. But they were the guys I would have really hung around with, you know.
Yeah.
And I suppose it was a kind of just that I went with the boys and played with them, and that was it.
Yeah, simple as that. And we would love to have you in Loughlin, no doubt, the way things turned out, Johnny. But I mean, for you then, you know, with All Loughlin, the first real thing you won with All Loughlin, am I right in saying it's in 1986 when you won the intermediate title against Éire Óg?
Yeah, it was an intermediate football final against Éire Óg. I think the score was 4-4 to 8 points. We both scored the same amount of scores, but we scored 4 goals in it. We beat Éire Óg in the final in Dr. Cullen. Extremely difficult to do, to beat any Éire Óg team in a county final.
Definitely. And okay, we mentioned the soccer briefly. The reason for that, just have a quick little look at this here. How about that?
Yeah, well, that was one of those days, you know, a ball broke on the ground, I brought it on my feet, and, you know, just my instinct was I had a step on the defender, keep going. I just took it around the goalie and when it popped it into the net, and it was kind of the winning goal in that match, you know.
Yeah, so you obviously went on to coach for quite a long time, and you probably know where this is going to go. You'd be saying to a lad, go down over that ball, don't mind playing soccer, and there's you, whatever age you were, only only a chap. You take a ball from the halfway line, soccer style, the whole way in and put it in the back of the net.
Yeah, well, it just was instinct. I took it on at my feet, you know. I thought I could have been 30 or 40 yards out, but I just took it on at my feet and kept going and kept going and kept going, you know. So it was just instinct.
Yeah.
I could see the break was on, and it was 1-1 at that stage, you know.
And it's mad the way this all happens so quickly, obviously, but you're just so conscious of it, even in the moment, like.
Oh, yeah. There was only a few minutes left in the game, and the game was hanging in the balance. O'Loughlin might have been a point or two up, but Éire Óg were kind of really pressing hard at that stage late in the game. And I think we broke down the field against the run of play, and we got the goal, and that took the wind out our sails then and gave us the momentum for the last few minutes, you know.
Johnny, I think if we had YouTube in the 80s now and someone saw that, you could be over in England very quickly. You might never have heard of Johnny Nevin, the hurler footballer, or Carlo.
I'd probably be a wealthy man, so Kevin.
Well, listen, like we'll take it back to the GA stuff, and that's just a remarkable video. And a lad that's not a million miles away from you may or may not have sent that, and he may or may not have also been a guest on last year's series as well. So it doesn't take a genius to work out who it was. But 87, another championship success. This time with Parnell's and against Erin's Own in the final.
Yeah, I remember it well. It was played of a Sunday evening in Dr. Cullen. Erin's Own would have been favourites for the match. We beat Palantine in the semi-final, but we were kind of really good. We were coming into form. We were after playing a challenge match in Wexford against Marshallstown the week before. We played Palantine and played really well against Palantine, and the momentum stayed going with us, and we won that final easily enough.
Yeah, and on the back of those two championship successes, then you started going in with the county in around 88, yeah?
Yeah, I would have started to appear, well, I would have been playing Kevin under, I would have played minor and under 21 with the county. I would have played minor, we played in the Leinster semi-final again, Meath football. We played several in under 21 match championships as well. I would have been playing a minor and under 21 with the county as well, you know.
Yeah, but I suppose to move on into the senior ranks, that was a fair step up. And like Carlo had good teams in the 80s, particularly in football when they were contesting league quarter-finals and stuff. And obviously that was in that decade was the last time Carlo had got promoted prior to 2018. So there was good lads knocking around that time. It wasn't an easy team to come into, like.
No, it wasn't an easy team to come into. I suppose that was 87 and that 88. We were in the semi-final of the senior football championship against Rathvilly, and we were beaten in the third game. So like we were kind of putting ourselves in the window there for to get selected for the county, you know. But it wasn't easy to come into it. There was a lot of good footballers around. If you start mentioning Tommy Dwyer, Tom Cullen, Lar Malloy, Willie Dial, Paddy Quirk, they were all around then, you know.
Yeah, serious names, John. That's another thing we might touch on actually, because you know we will come to different lads and that you come up against, but you know yourself and Paddy Quirk are kind of known as two of the greatest dual stars that Carlow has ever had. And you have many good battle with him, particularly in county finals, which we will come to a little bit later on in the programme. But another serious operator, like.
Yeah, sure. He was really, really competitive and really, really motivated, and had huge ability as well, and a big, strong physical man, you know. And always wanted to give of his best, and just was he was the linchpin for Nevin when Nevin were winning the championships. He was the man at that stage, the driving force. He was the real driving force in that team, you know.
Yeah, and like the battles, like as we said, particularly in '94, which we'll come to. I mean, there were incredible battles. But we'll stick with we'll go, you know, with time relevance, as the fella said. An All-Ireland success with Carlow in 1992, and you know, that was obviously a big thing for Carlow at the time. You know, there was a bit of a struggle there for a while, and some great players on that team. So talk us through that one.
Yeah, well, look, really what happened there was, I suppose Carlow had been very, very close in the All-Ireland B for a few years, and they got bet in the one, I think it was a home final, and then they got bet in a final there as well, be London at one stage in Dr. Cullen. And then I suppose Martin Fitzpatrick came in as the new manager of Carlow, and I think a lot of players, some of them had finished, and he kind of went with a new group of players, group of young players, Martin Fitzpatrick did, and worked from there. Of course, 92 we won it, but we were beaten in the home final in 91 by Westmeath, you know.
Yeah.
But in 92 we got the upper hand of Westmeath in Tullamore after a replay, and we went on to London to win it then in London, and of course that led us to playing that good Galway team in Dr. Cullen Park in the All-Ireland quarter-final.
Yeah, that was a serious day. I wish I was kind of able to remember that. It was a little bit before my time, John, but you know, everyone speaks of that day, and some incredible individual performances as well on the day.
Yeah, well, like Galway had so many All-Ireland winners in the team everywhere you went. So like if you were looking for an easy, as a lad says, an easy ride on the day, I started marking Michael Coleman. I ended up marking Joe Cooney. So like those incredible players, Tony Keady, P. Finnerty, Jerry McInerney, the Hopper McGrath, Joe Rabbit, all those were playing. Mark Mullins played huge game for Carlow at centre forward that day, you know. He scored 5 points off Keady.
Yeah, which no easy feat. The late great Tony Keady, like, and you know, we know Mullins wasn't too simple either, and he obviously went on to hurl Cork and the captain Cork. But what was it like on that day, pitting your wits against, you know, some of the best in the business? And was that kind of your first real taste of coming up against the cream of the crop?
That was probably our first real taste of it was a real championship game. It was an All-Ireland quarter-final, huge crowd. The Carlow supporters are always great supporters to turn up. They're very, very passionate about their game, and if they've anything support at all, they will be out to support you. And there was just a huge crowd there in Dr. Cullen, and of course Galway were coming down. They had to get a job done. They had to move on. They wanted to get to an All-Ireland semi-final. So, but look, I wouldn't say at any stage it was any way intimidating. It was just, you just soaked up the atmosphere and you got on with it, and you let yourself go, and you hurled as best you could on the day.
Did you feel like you could have took him, truthfully?
I thought we're really, really going up we're really, really going well up to just about 2 minutes before half time. And we just gave away a soft enough goal just right on the stroke of half time. And, that gave them a bit more momentum. Gave them a 4-point lead where they would have only had a 1-point lead going instead, But look, they probably had another gear in them. They were going to up it. If we had to ask them more questions in the second half, they'd have to try and come with the answers. And look, they were winning All Irelands at the time, so I'm sure they would have the answers. They were winning All Irelands at the time.
Yeah. But I suppose to move things on a little bit, then another All Ireland success in '94, and that was, I suppose, really a reflection of where Carlow were, and probably should have been anyway at that point, with Aero being so good. Football was starting to come on again, and I suppose, you were kind of, I won't say expecting to win one, but you really should have been winning one considering the players you had, and you did go win at '94. Or in fairness,
Yeah, we'd a lot of good footballers hanging around the county as well. Aero were starting to go well as well. Bobby Miller came in to manage the team and did an extremely good job. We took our chance in that All Ireland B. We had to beat 3 Munster teams to get to the final. We had to beat Clare, who were after winning the Munster the year before, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, in football. Waterford and Tipperary in the semi-final before we played Westmeath in the final in Tullamore.
And again, I'm not saying, you take these things for granted, but you were good enough to do it,
Hello?
Yeah, you still there, John? Yeah.
Kevin, yeah?
Yeah,
I'm there, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying, you won it and you were good enough to win it. You did win it, but it's where Carlow should have been at anyway, and it should have been probably a little bit, heading on an upward curve considering the success of Aero and how good the players were at that time.
Yeah, well, to win the final was a huge achievement in Tullamore, because Westmeath were a very, very fancy team at the time, and we were going well under Matty Kerrigan. He was coaching Westmeath at the time, and they were going very, very well at the time and had a lot of good footballers. They would have been fancied, but we just got to turn them on the day, be 2 points in a lot of Carlow lads played very, very well in Tullamore, and we just got to turn them on the day,
Mm-hmm. And obviously '94 was also, okay, you had the success with the county, but you had despair, I suppose, with the club, because with O'Loughlin you lost an intermediate final to Clonmore, and also obviously with Parnells you're in a senior final against Nevin, and unfortunately neither of those went well for you.
No, we were beaten in the hurling final be Nevin, I think, be 4 points. We hurled well enough on the day, but Nevin got, I think got 3 goals in the match, and goals usually win matches, and we didn't score a goal on the day. So look, they pipped us by a few points on the day.
Yeah.
We lost an intermediate football as well the same year, and same thing. I don't think we scored any goal in that match either, Kevin. And goals usually win finals, and we failed to score, failed to raise a green flag in that final as well, and we went down in that as well.
Yeah, so unfortunate in that regard. But then when you kick it on a couple of years, you have double delight then, because you end up winning the senior hurling final with Nair Breed, and also win the intermediate football final with O'Loughlin against the Blues. Talk to us about Nair Breed first, because that was the first year Nair Breed formed. What was it like in the formation period? The rumblings, the makings of it, and then how good it was to actually go on and win a championship, and obviously you captained the side as well.
Yeah, I suppose in the beginning, there was a lot of, I suppose, Balnabrana players on our side of the parish were getting to know one another, really. They were getting to know one another. They had won a minor championship. We'd won a minor championship as well. We'd won under 21 as well. they were getting to know us and we were getting to know them. But look, we had a very, very good manager in Christy Keogh, and he was able to pull the whole job together. And he was after managing Wexford as well. He had big experience. He was after managing Wexford, and in fairness to him, we went through that championship unbeaten to win the championship, beat St Mullins in the final. He was a very, very good manager, and was able to get his point across to lads individually without ever having to talk to a lad collectively in a group. He was very, very good, Christy Keogh. In the football, we were lucky enough to tip the Blues O'Hanrahan's in the county final. I think it was John Hayde might have scored a goal early on in the game, and that stayed between us all day. I think it could have ended 178 points. Doc Hughes being the manager then. That was O'Hanrahan's team. That was the start of a very good O'Hanrahan's team, and went on later to win the intermediate and win senior championships and even win a Leinster. All those boys were coming then. They were the kids on the block coming then, and they went on to great things after.
They sure did. And all went on to great things, because after winning intermediate in 96, won the senior in 97. So I literally don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, did any other team ever do that? Like, I mean, that's a serious achievement.
I think it did happen in other counties, Kevin. I definitely...
Clara did it in Kilkenny with intermediate and senior hurling, but definitely in Carlow, I would say you probably hold a distinction there.
Maybe so, yeah. It was just, look, we're in a group there in the championship. I remember we played Tinryland, Clonmore. We were beaten in that Clonmore. Yeah, we had Tinryland, Clonmore. We're probably in the easier side. Tinryland, Clonmore, and Michael. We beat Tinryland. We were beat Clonmore, and we had Michael in the last game in Dr. Cullen Park, and we just won that by a couple of points. So we were in a semi-final, but we had a few injuries, and we were very low key, and no one would have been really giving us a chance. But look, we turned up on... Doc Hughes was a great motivator. We turned up on the night to play Rathvilly semi-final of a championship. No one would have really given us a chance, and we turned them over rather easily enough in Dr. Cullen. And even though we were, after doing that, still not, Palantine had come and they'd beaten Éire Óg on the other side of it. They beat Clonmore in the semi-final, who had easily beaten us at a stage. But look, we got a really good start in that county final. Like, I suppose everybody expected just Pal to come in and win it, but we got a really good start in it. And the first 15 or 20 minutes, and we put a bit of pressure on Pal, and we got out in front. And once we got out in front, then they were chasing us, and they just weren't able to catch us.
Simple as that. It was still a serious achievement, it has to be said. And I understand where you might say, I suppose, that you might have got an easier side, but I think I played Clonmore and Michael, certainly I was black and blue, so there was nothing handy given to you either, I suppose, at the same time, not to be taken away from it.
No, there's not. There's like in Carlow, with all respect to all the clubs that are in Carlow, there's no easy match again. Any of them, you know, they're all fierce competitive, and in the senior championship, intermediate championship, even junior championship, they're all very, very competitive, and there's no easy matches. You have to turn up and win them. Yeah,
simple as that. John, let's rock things on another little bit. So the turn of the millennium and 2002, the O'Byrne Cup. Winning that was a massive thing, and although kind of in recent times, over the last couple of years, it mightn't hold, say, the same prestige, it was a massive thing for Carlow, and there was some great results in that before you actually won that final against Wicklow, I think.
Yeah, we lost, I think, awfully in the first match, and then we beat Meath. Probably Meath were good then, and maybe fielding a bit of an under-strength team, but we beat them in Dr. Cullen. Then we beat Longford in it, and then we qualified for the semi-final against Laois, and we pipped them by a point in Port Arlington. But some fantastic games of football and some fantastic footballers on the team as well.
And possibly the last time Carlow beat Laois in a game of football, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. That would have been the last time. Before that was 1988 when we beat them in the Leinster Championship in Carlow. Then we beat them in that O'Byrne Cup semi-final we beat them in I was in Port Harlington that game, and the following Sunday then we had Wicklow in Dr. Cullen Park. It was a peculiar game. Wicklow played with a breeze in the first half, and we didn't see that much ball at the other end of the field, and Wicklow had a very, very dominant midfield, but Wicklow shot a good few wides, but I think we just broke up the field and we got a penalty just before half time, and Brian Carberry converted it, and we had the breeze in the second half, and we made a count in the second half. I think we won it by 6 or 7 points in the wind up.
Yeah, it was massive though at the time. Really, really was. And again, Carlow had a good side that just didn't really kick on to any great deal. I don't know how it would compare, in terms of what you thought of the side in the early to mid-90s, but definitely I thought around the turn of the millennium, Carlow had some fine footballers still. Blues were after winning that Leinster Championship on the turn of the millennium. And I suppose it was just rewards winning the O'Byrne Cup. Just possibly didn't push on enough in the couple of years after that.
Yeah, I'd say so. To just find that consistency and to drive it on to another level, and we possibly did. We didn't do that, and we had even they got some championship results after that to be Offaly and All Ireland qualifiers in Carlow and that, I think, around that time as well. But we just couldn't get the consistency to take it on another level,
Yeah, just one of those things, unfortunately, because look, as I said, it was a dangum side. Let's look at 2003. So those games against the Blues, then county finals. Do you think the first day possibly it got away in you a little bit?
Yeah, I think was the Blues were a hell of a good team then now, and we had a good team as well. Possibly, Kevin, what we were trying to prove was we won in a county final in '97, right? And lads, and everybody was saying we were lucky and we were this and that, but we still had to win the county final. But we were always motivated trying to get back to another county final to try and win it, to prove that we were a good side, And look at it, just the first day was terrible. It was fierce rain and wind in it. But look, I think we were slightly the better team the first day, and we didn't really take our chances. I know myself, I missed a gilt-edged chance in the second half. It possibly could have won the game. It was so low scoring. But look, the second day the Blues were slightly better than us, and won the match. But there were two very, very competitive matches,
Yeah, and to be obviously thereabouts at a time where a Blues team has won Leinster and an Aero team has won, they had 4-1 when you won in '97 and went on and won a 50 year after. So it just goes to show that you were a decent side.
Yeah, well, that's what we were out to prove, Kevin, that we had a decent side. We were really playing a top, and we were just that bit motivated, trying to get our hands on the Conlon Cup for a second time. That's what was really motivating us, Unfortunately, it didn't happen then. It happened later on. But look, that was disappointing because we were probably the better team the first day, but we didn't capitalise on our chances, and the Blues were probably that bit better the second day, and they did take their chances.
Yeah, well, in 2004, it was a great year on the club front, and I'll come to you on the county stuff as well. But winning a second championship with Naomh Bríd, and that was really, really kind of unexpected, I would say, because Naomh Bríd weren't given much of a chance at the start of the year. I suppose now we're Ballinkillen who got to the final as well. am I right in saying that kind of just took on a life of its own once you got to the semi-final stage with that win over Rangers? Because before that, it was a little bit all over the place. You kind of got your act together near the tail end and at the right time.
Yeah, definitely so, Kevin. I'd say that's the truth of it. Look, we were after being knocked out of football, I think, and the following week we had to play Michael in a match, and if we won that match, we were in the semi-final. But we had to beat Michael to win to get to the semi-final. I think if we had to lose, we were out. But we beat Michael of a Friday night in Dr. Cullen, and we got momentum going. Then we got Mount Leinster in the semi-final, and we beat them in Dr. Cullen. And then we really had momentum because Ballinkillen knocked out Michael, and Ballinkillen went into it as favourites. But I think we won it easily enough on the day, be 6 or 7 points in the final. We just got momentum going, and we've a lot of good hurlers. We had a lot of good hurlers then, and when lads would be playing more hurling and we wouldn't be playing football at that stage, they'd be getting better by the week, like, and that's what happened. Brie got better by the week, and as the weeks went on, they got better and they won the championship. Yeah,
and obviously a victory over our clock in Leinster, and subsequently a performance against what do you call it? Owler to Bala, sorry. And quite good in the first half. In the second half, they did step it up a gear. You were the right hustle Martin Story that day. And the two of you, were obviously fairly well on at that stage, even though you played for nearly a decade after. But I think he was possibly in around the 40 mark, and you weren't too shy of it either.
I think, yeah, he was a good hurler though. He was really top class hurler. He's an All-Ireland winner, an All-Ireland captain, and that Owler the Ballot team was very, very good. There was names through it: Liam Dunn, Tomas Dunn, Paul Finn, all those guys through that team. They were really, really, really good. They were dominant in Wexford at that stage, we hurled okay in the first half. It was level, but they came out and they got a break at the start of the second half, got a goal, and look, they kicked on from there. They probably had another gear in them as well,
And what was it like coming up against Martin Story in comparison to, say, Joe Coney? Like, how did they obviously Coney was kind of a little bit younger than Story was at that particular point, but good to pitch your wits against both of them, I suppose.
Yeah, Story was very elusive hurler. He'd break off you and pick off points there. That's the way he played. Coney was an outstanding hurler. He's probably one of the best hurlers I ever played against. He was really, really deceptive. He had pace, he had huge hurling ability, and his awareness of what was going on around him and what was going to happen around him were top class. And he just, he'd take some mark, and he's unbelievable hurler, like.
Simple as that. 2004, obviously, a stellar performance against Longford, 415 to 116, which earned you Player of the Month, along with Dan Shannon, who got it in the hurling. I'm reliably informed that Dan took the mother and father to the award ceremony, and you got a busload up from Loughlin. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, well, sure. Look at the kind of said, sure, make sure and bring on a few, would you, when you're going? So. A few of the boys were dying for a day out, so we brought them on there up to Dublin, sure, and it was a really, really warm day, and sure, we were kind of out of the championship at that stage, Carlo, and sure, Waterford were still in the championship, but we had a good old crack on the day, and sure, we got a few drinks on the way home, and sure, it was a day to remember,
Yeah, so yeah,
unbelievable. Stopped off there in Narramore on the way down and got beers there. And I think the European Championships were on the same time, Kevin,
Yeah, so you had it right there with all together.
With a good day, Kevin. Yeah, great day out.
Yeah, good stuff. You'd be due one every now and then. We wouldn't mind a day out now shortly as well with all this crack going on. But the following year, I suppose, then it started kind of, I think you went with the Hurlers the following year, if memory serves me correct, and it was in around the time the Christian Cup came in. Was 05 then your last year kind of as an inter-county player?
Hello, Kevin.
Yeah, you're back with us there, are you?
Yeah, have you there? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Um, I was saying, was 05 your last year then as an inter-county player?
Yeah, that was me last year. Yeah. Yeah, I just finished up then. I just probably had enough of it and wanted to give a little bit more, just give a little bit in the wind up to your club and finish up, But look, I enjoyed my inter-county career. There was some obviously winning All Ireland B football, hurling, O'Byrne Cups, winning a few Kyo Cups. Uh, that day going to Dublin to win Vodafone Footballer of the Month, all that sort of stuff. So I have some good memories of it, Kevin.
You have a lot more than a lot of people, let me tell you. But we may go back to the close stuff then. 2008. Thought it was about 2008. I think actually, funnily enough, now you might have been the oldest lad on the panel, and I think I was the youngest lad in the panel. So here we are having the conversation. 13 years later, which is quite cool, really. But again, I don't think it was a championship Newbury were expected to win, and I don't think they're expecting to win it after about 61 or 2 minutes either, or maybe even 63. But in the 64th, Alan Brennan scored the famous goal, and Newbury stopped the three in a row. You got man of the match. I think you were 42 years of age. Mark and Willie Hickey, who was in the peak of his powers at the time. Peter Pan stuff, really, as Leo McGough, I think, described it at the time.
Look at Kevin. Sure, there was a championship there. I think in the quarter final of that against Bagnallstown, where Aaron's own, whoever won that game went to the semi final, and it ended in a draw. And I think we went there by scoring difference. Aaron's own were extremely unlucky that day. They probably should have beaten us in Dr. Cullen Park. But look, we took our break. We got into the semi-final then against St. Mullins. No one really gave us a chance. And we hurled really well in the semi-final against St. Mullins and just pipped them in the last few minutes of it in Dr. Cullen. And then it was into the final against Mount Leinster Rangers. And really no one gave us a chance going in there. But look, we'd been in 2 county finals with Newbury before that. We'd won both of them. So look, it was unbelievable. Like, it went to the last seconds where the ball went out for a 65, dropped in. Alan Brennan met on it, and it just ended in the net, and the ball was poked out and the game was over. So it was just incredible scenes in Dr. Cullen Park, for Newbury to win their 3rd senior hurling championship, and it was incredible that day.
It really was, John. And we've already kind of said it was almost fairy tale stuff. I don't remember any other county final being anywhere near as dramatic. The only one that comes close, I think, was possibly Rangers and St. Mullins a couple of years ago when St. Mullins got the late point to win it. But in terms of literally a goal with the last puck, it doesn't really get much more dramatic than that.
No, it couldn't be any more dramatic than that. And I thought the referee was going to blow it off every second, and he gave the 65, and it just ended in the net, and that was it. It was incredible then, and they had no chance really to equalise,
And Johnny, you had a very difficult decision to make then, because in the first round of the Leinster Championship, which Newbury were operating at intermediate level, it was possibly the closest Leinster Championship encounter, I would say, in terms of clubs that were, proximity wise, because Comer is obviously no length from the border and our kind of catchment area in Newbury. But you were called up to play international rules stuff, a Masters international rules or something like that. How tough was that decision to actually? I know some people would say it was a no-brainer to go to Australia, but obviously it wasn't that straightforward.
Missed out that,
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah, you dropped there for a sec. Are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm there, yeah. I just went off to Australia, played in that, and I missed that game against Comer, but all reports are they had a lot of chances to win it, and they were pipped by 2 points, So, but look, I suppose at the time you want to see a bit of the world as well, and you want to try and see a bit of the world as well. And I went to Australia that time, and just probably to see a bit of the world more so than playing Masters football, and then I missed out on that match. But look, I don't have any regrets, because there was a lot of there was a lot of years that you didn't go anywhere,
So was it a little bit more straightforward than people might have thought, like that? Okay, I'm going, because, like, in fairness, it's a serious opportunity. You're giving a lot of service, obviously, and perfectly entitled to go. But it still would have took a bit of thinking, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. So I know, I just look at ever before the county final and ever before we won the county final, I had my mind made up. I was going. I just wanted to see a bit of Australia, and I knew I was going to be moving around in Sydney, and I was going to be in Perth or Sydney, and I was going to be in Brisbane, and I was going to be in Melbourne. When the Melbourne Cup was going on. So I just wanted to see a bit of the world, and unfortunately, just at that stage, then the hurling had to take a back seat.
Yeah, and moving on, then, there was a couple of more championships with All Auckland. You lost that 09 final to Rathvilly, learned from it and came back the following year and beat Rathvilly in 2010 and won another one in 2011. So back-to-back championships.
Yeah, All Auckland were very, very good then. They had a very, very good team then. They had a lot of players all coming together at the one time. They took their chance, won a couple of championships and went on and lost a couple after that. But a good panel of players there. They had 20 players to pick from, Kevin, all the time then, and they were just they were that little bit better than anything else in the county at that stage.
So for you then, you gave at least another 4 years playing. I know eventually you played a bit of junior football All Auckland, but definitely you were playing senior hurling, I think, up as far as maybe 2015. I'm not going to ask you to reveal your age if you don't want to, but you surely weren't, if you do the maths, you weren't too far away from the 5-0 playing senior championship hurling and still being fairly competitive. How did you do it?
No, I didn't play hurling beyond 2012, I'd say, Kevin. I think I finished in 2012 hurling. I had
Well, come here, hold on. Far be it for me to call you a liar now, but I definitely played championship with you in 2013 at least. So, and I think you were around in 14. I'm nearly sure you're in 14. So you're taking a few years off yourself.
13, I remember that all right playing, but I kind of picked up a hamstring after that, and that was it. I finished up then, and there was nothing left to play for then. Once you start picking up hamstrings and you just can't move, and I'd say definitely you were on the team that year that I finished up that year.
Well, it was unbelievable to give that level of service, like playing. Jesus, nearly 30 years senior championship or whatever it was, like not too far away from it. Like it was incredible stuff. How did you keep going?
Actually, look, I suppose between intermediate and senior, I probably would have played for 20 years at maybe a little bit longer. But look, sure, you just play with the club and you just play with your county, and that's it. And so you go there. It's a good old social outing there to go and play, and I liked playing, and you get into liking playing, and I liked the playing and meeting the boys after, going for a few beers and bit of a laugh with the boys after, and the socialising end of it, going around, and I enjoyed it, and that was basically it. It's just, but you motivate yourself to play as well,
But you have to keep yourself right too.
Yeah, you have to live a fairly rigid lifestyle. Like, you can't be just you'll be training well, you'll be trying to eat well, and you'll be trying to do all the right things, and you wouldn't. I was never a huge socialising man, even though I like to drink. I like to drink after a game, but I was never a real big drinking man,
Yeah, that's just the way it was. So there's no out and out secret to the longevity then. Are you just a freak of nature?
I could be a freak of nature, and that's it. But look, I'm not able to say that, Kevin. You don't know. But look, you mind yourself well. I didn't pick up many injuries, knee injuries or hamstrings or that, until late in my career, and I didn't have any real bad injuries that were going to dampen your enthusiasm for the game. And that's really that's really why you keep playing. Like, I suppose if I was picking up injuries all the time, Kevin, I wouldn't be playing because your enthusiasm would be dampened. But once you weren't picking up injuries, you'd stay ploughing on, you know.
So this brings us to the business end of things, John. So we've brought this into season 2 with us as well. We had it in season 1 where we get our guests to pick the best 15 to play with. It can be club, county, schools, whatever, just as long as you played with them at some stage. Obviously, being the dual star, we did ask you to pick 2 of them and you have to put yourself on them. So I don't know if you have it to hand, but what did you do? Who did you go with? What was your criteria?
Which would you like first, Kevin?
Sure, we'll start with the hurling.
Right, okay. The hurling, I'd say you'll be familiar with a lot of the players that I picked on it. I started probably going to be 5 or 6 of them off our All Ireland winning B team in '92. I started with Richie Keelty in the goal. He's very, very reliable goalkeeper. So he was in the goal. In the full back line, I put Shane Kavanagh at cornerback, Niall Barmerick at full back, and Tom English, who was a very, very strong operator too on our All Ireland winning team in '92. On the half back line, I put Eddie Cody at right half back. Brilliant player from Mount Leinster. At centre back, I put probably didn't play a lot of the hurling in this position, but I put him there on this team that I picked. I put Paddy Quirk at centre back, and you asked me to put myself on the team, so I put myself at 7. Are you okay with that backline, Kevin?
Did Paddy Quirk ever play centre back?
I'd say he did in some games, but I picked him on this team at centre back. And
right, okay.
Are you happy enough with that back line?
Sure, look, it's your back line, so I'm not going to disagree with you. I can't say whether I'm happy or not. As long as you're happy with it, is the main thing. Like, but yeah, it's certainly an unusual one with Paddy Quirk centre back anyway. But that raised a few eyebrows, no doubt.
I put in the middle of the field 2 fine hurlers, Pat Cody and Brendan Hayden in the middle of the field. I picked a half forward line of I picked Niall English at wing forward. He was a fantastic hurler with Carlow Town, who weren't probably as strong a club as maybe the other senior clubs in the county at the time, but English was a fantastic sticks man. I put him at 10. I put a guy that I hurled with from school level to from under 14 with a county 16, minor 21. Everything at centre forward. Mark Mullins, a fantastic hurler, hurled with Cork. Napirsig won 2 senior championships with Napirsig in Cork at centre forward. And I put a guy from St Mullins at wing forward, Pat Mosey Murphy, who was a very passionate hurler from St Mullins, a Kitto hurler, and no mean player to throw a sliotar over the bar. I went into the full forward line then, and I picked at right full Robbie Foley, a guy with a great hand, and always good to get a goal for you. I put him at right full. I put Big Des Murphy at full forward. Took an awful lot of punishment in the Carlow jersey, but was always willing to go back for more and gave a lot of it as well. Unreal, the punishment the man took, and but so unselfish, throw hand passes to lads and that. And on the other corner, I put Joe Hayden, who was a real opportunist hurler. I remember playing in London in the All Ireland B final in '92, and Joe Hayden didn't strike a ball in the first half of the game. And I think in the second half, the London defence lapsed on him and he hit 1-3 from place. So that's the type of player you were dealing with. He mightn't do anything for the first half, but in the second half, he could just light up the place, you know. So that's the 15 players I picked on the hurling team, Kevin.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right, football.
The football, okay. I picked in the goal on the football. I picked Pat Doran of St Patrick's in Tullow, a very, very reliable goalie, a great shot stopper, and with a very, very accurate kick out. In the full back line, I would have put Brian Farrell, who I regard as a very, very good man marker and a very, very good footballer with a lot of pace. Full back, I would have put Tom Cullen. He would have been around on that 88, 89 and that good team in the 80s that Carlo had played his club football with Cola, but a fantastic, big, strong athlete of a footballer. And at left full back, I would have put the late Andrew Carden, who I regarded as an absolutely fantastic man marker with a brilliant attitude towards playing the game. And I put him at 4. On the half-back line, I would have put a player that I didn't play that much with, but was well regarded everywhere you went, and that was Larmalaya Rathilly. At 6, I put Sean Kavanagh. Wouldn't have played that much football there, but I just had to have Sean Kavanagh in the team. He gave 10 or 12 good, solid years of service to the county, and was always, he known mean footballer, either left or right foot, and his attitude was spot on, his commitment was spot on, and I just had to have him in the team, and I put him in at centre back, Sean Kavanagh. And on the other wing, I put Willie Quinlan, who had a fantastic attitude towards the game as well, and real enthusiasm and energy towards playing with the county, and I put him at 7. So that's from the goal to the half-back line, Kevin.
Yeah, very, very solid so far.
Into the middle of the field, I put the Tower and Tommy Dwyer in the middle of the field. I would have played with Tommy not only maybe for 2 years, but look, a fantastic footballer for a huge big man and a great fielder of the ball, and for a big man so skillful. I partnered him with Tom Welch, who I regard as very, very good footballer as well. Gave you everything when he was playing, and a good driving force around the middle of the field. So into the forwards then, Kevin, I went with a 10, Mark Carpenter, who had a brilliant footballing brain, pace, good finisher, and just had to be in the team. At 11, I put Paddy Quirk. What can you say about him? He's just motivated, huge ability, gave it everything for club and county. So I put him at 11, and you asked me who I put at 12, so I put myself at 12. Kevin. So into the full forward line, I put Joe Hayden at 13. An opportunist, always capable of getting scores, always capable of winning frees. A wily customer at that level, and I had a great way of tormenting cornerbacks. At full forward, I put Willie Doyle of O'Hanrahan's, because just a big, strong, burly man as well at full forward, a huge operator as well, Australian rules as well, and I didn't play that much with him, but I would have played 1 or 2 games with him, but very, very fine player. And at 15, I put Colin Hayden, another big, strong, powerful man with huge footballing ability as well, and I suppose he ended up maybe having a car accident that maybe cut short a bit off his career there at inter-county level, but that's the 15 players I would have picked on the football, Kevin.
You're not going to be popular in All Auckland, are you? I don't think there's any other All Auckland lad there.
Well, look, yeah, and I would have been picking lads that were just on huge ability there, and there's a lot of good footballers on that team, Kevin. It'd be very, very hard to get in, very, very hard to get into that team. You go back through it, there's a lot of huge footballers on that team. They're from the All-Ireland winning B team to the All-Burn Cup winning team to the 88 and 89 team there. That was a lot of good footballers on it as well. But look, I could only pick 15. I could pick another 4 or 5 of each, but I could only pick 15. But they're the 15. I'm not going to be popular anyway, but they're the 15 I picked.
Yeah, you might have said at some stage that you don't if you're winning, you're not popular anyway. So
yeah, popular, Kevin. Size of it.
Yeah. So come here, just a couple of quick things before we wrap it up. You've been very good with your time. First of all, lads that were kind of unlucky to miss out on both of those teams, did you have many headaches there? Is there a few notable mentions at all?
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, I would definitely say in football, like my own clubmate John Hayden. I would have been a huge admirer of Brian Carberry playing. I would have been a huge admirer of Brian Carberry as a footballer as well. Good score getter for the county when he was playing. Also, Anthony Muckle Keaton, maybe another huge opportunist playing football as well. And there was one or two other guys that I played. Maybe I played Red McNowan of Michael. I played football with, but he only played with the county for 1 year, really. Played schools with him, but a really, really good footballer. But you're competing there with Tommy Dwyer and you're competing with Tom Welch. Outside of that, in the hurling, really, maybe David Dyla of St. Mullins would have had strong stake to claim there after corner forward. Maybe our own Johnny Kavanagh won 3 senior hurling championships would near breed as well. But that's look at their lads that could have gone in there, But look at I picked 15 that I thought on merit, and there's always going to be a couple of lads that's going to be left out, and maybe and that Joe Broderick also a very, very good shot stopper in the football as well. But look, that's the team. They're the 2 teams I picked anyway, Kevin, and just lads maybe a little bit unlucky not to get in,
Yeah, a couple of quick fire ones before we finish up. Toughest opponent in both codes, John?
I would have the tough. I'll go outside the county on this. I think Joe Cooney was probably the toughest opponent I met on a hurling field. He was an elegant hurler. He was very, very. He was a great striker of the ball off of both sides, and he was very, very deceiving as well. I put him. He's the most difficult opponent, I'd say, in hurling. And in football, I would say one of the best footballers I met was Len Ryan of Kildare. A very, very sturdy footballer, committed, and very, very pacey as well, and top class footballer as well.
Right. The best you've played with then in both codes. So who's the best player you played with in both? And you can bring in provincials into this as well, because I know you did do that. We didn't do that much on the conversation over the last hour, so I'll open that up to you.
Yeah, you're looking for players that I would have played with. We played in a Railway Cup trial one day in Newbridge. The rest of Leinster played Kildare. I played with Kieran Whelan, he's a fantastic footballer on that day, an absolutely fantastic footballer. He was as good a player as I played with. I suppose in hurling, I would have played with many powerful players as well. Look at your man in Kilkenny, was a very, very good player. Would have played on him with a Railway Cup team as well, Andy Comfort. Now Ireland winning captain with Kilkenny as well.
There we go. Well, last one then. Is there many grounds or any ground in Ireland that you didn't play in from a county point of view, given the fact that you played both codes and you played for whatever length of time it was, 17 years? There can't be too many grounds that you haven't seen.
What, Kevin?
Is there any ground or many grounds that you actually haven't played in, considering you played for so long with Carlo and both codes?
Yeah, I'd say there's a few grounds, like, sure I would have played all around A county probably that I didn't play in. I think I played in all the northern. I played in all the northern counties. I would have played in all the west of Ireland. Probably one place I didn't play was in Cork, in Páirc Uí Chaoimh. I was injured the same day in a league match in football, so I didn't play.
Right, so literally nearly every other ground bar one or two, like.
Yeah, well, I was around. I mightn't have been in the main pitch in it, but we would have.
Yeah, it's fair going, like.
Might have been in. We would have played in Tralee and places like that, in Kerry and Hurling, and look, you'd be in Waterford as well there, in Fahirfield, in the football, Dungarvan and that, and Limerick, Askeaton, all those places, and Thurles and that as well, Kevin. So that's the general run of it.
It was getting there time you got a trip to Australia in 08, so after seeing enough of Ireland.
What?
You're after seeing enough of Ireland. It was time to go to Australia in 08. Johnny, come here. Look, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you over the last hour. And thanks for joining us here on the Left Wing Back podcast. All right.
Thanks a million, Kevin. Thanks a million.
Yes, so there you have it, folks. The story of Johnny Nevin, who some people would class as the king of Close Sutton, despite the fact that Willie Mullins, of course, is from the same neighbourhood. But there must be something in the water that has to be said around that area for sure. That's it for this week. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. It is, of course, completely free to do so. And the 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts do help in getting us up the leaderboard in the charts. Our thanks to our sponsors, Carrow Dental Centre, your award-winning dental clinic located in Great Cullen, open 7 days a week, offering all types of dentistry for you and your family, the very best dental care at affordable prices. Call the reception team on 059 91736762, or you can visit the website at carrowdentalcentre.ie. Make the call and start loving your smile. Episode 2 will of course be coming your way soon, so stay tuned for that, and until next time, take care.